All right, welcome everybody. Okay. Now I'm forgetting the TikTok mic. Hey everybody, John Arvosis here, Washington, D.C. Mikeless John Arvosis. Welcome for today's Ukraine update. A lot of news always surprises me. I always feel like there's not much news, and then I get like 5.5 pages of news. So all is well. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves, say where you're from, and we will take a couple minutes, as we always do, just to give folks a chance to arrive. So hopefully that gives time. Hey, Ashley and Miss Mickey and all of you. Oh, anyway, Malta. I always forget about that. That's very cool. You're from Malta. Wow. Upstate South Carolina. I didn't know there was an upstate South Carolina. There is such a thing. Toronto. Oh, Mike, I keep forgetting where everybody's from, actually. Oh, my. Oh, boy. Got my hair cut today. I think I found a new person to cut my hair finally. Because I like what she did. She's able to cut it short and back, which I wanted. So, oh, hello. My tea is exploding on me. So that's good. Scotland. I love Scotland. Scotland, however you say it. Dying to get back. I've only been in Edinburgh, but I loved it. Yeah, I'll probably turn it on for the hearing. I don't know. I guess. I just didn't want to have to do it's just, for some reason, it's actually very tiring. Maybe I'll put it on and not talk. I'll try. I mean, I don't talk much anyway, but it's actually kind of tiring when it's on for a couple hours, because I still feel like I'm on with you guys. The hearing is tomorrow, the latest hearing from the January 6th, the Insurrection Commission in Congress. So, and these hearings are very interesting because we don't really know kind of who they're doing each day. Yeah, I'm going to skip the morning. Brendy's saying don't do it. I think I am going to skip. Also because my voice is being so goofy. I think it's best to just skip, and maybe I'll come on at the end. We'll see. I may just do an impromptu coming on who knows? Maybe I'll do, actually, I'll say this, make sure, well, actually, no, I can do it. I can, at the end, I can do it. I'll come on. Maybe not too long, but I can come on TikTok and let's see how my voice is doing at the end of the show. But TikTok and you guys, I can always try to launch really quick. But again, let's see. I'll be on Twitter during the hearing for sure. Yeah, that'll be. Oh, my blue lights. You're right. Hey, Google, turn on the living room lights. You're right. Oh, there we go. I forgot the blue lights. That's my VeriSign. If I don't have the blue lights on, then you know it's not me. Or not really me. So anyway, but yeah, let's give it another minute, like I said, for folks to come in, and then I'll start. So, but as we said, I'll take a minute just because it helps you guys introduce yourselves, but also people are not it takes people a minute to get the notice. I did get a haircut. Yes. I'd gotten it cut like 6 weeks ago, but the woman back home I really like can't cut my hair short, like for the life of her. And she's afraid because it goes different, because it's wavy and curly, it goes different directions. So thanks, Mike. So I finally found a woman in DC who can cut my hair. I had to get rid of my old, I swear to God, okay, TikTok's getting there. I am going to start. I don't want to turn off the TikTokers talking about my hair. We normally wait a few minutes so people can come in, like you TikTokers. So that's why I don't start talking about the Ukraine update yet. But you know what? I will dig in. Let's start explaining how the show goes, since we got a critical mass of TikTokers. Thanks for joining us, guys. So I am going to give you about 20 minutes of news, maybe 25 minutes of the latest news from Ukraine. Then we go into the question and answer period of our show, where you guys pose questions and hopefully I answer them. On TikTok, you can simply use the Q&A button in my profile, because TikTok got rid of the Q&A during the lives. I don't know why. It's annoying. So go to the Q&A button in my profile and you can leave questions there. On all of you can use the comments button. And as always on YouTube, please feel free to use the super chat questions. I will always get to those first. And finally, you guys on TikTok, I always appreciate the live gifts. They're fun, they're goofy, they're nice. They also put money in my pocket. So what's not to like? So thank you guys. I appreciate it. Let's get rolling. So I'm going to start with a little bit of news from Iran because it's rather unprecedented, and this is a news show. And as I always tell you guys, when there is big news otherwise in the world, I will mention it, because not just Ukraine, but mostly Ukraine. So the one non-Ukraine story today is the Iranian government has been cracking down on women who do not wear the hijab. And the hijab is that like Muslim headdress that the women wear. It's not the whole outfit. That's a burqa, right? But the headdress, which is a hijab, the government's been cracking down. And I've got, what have I got here? They've called for women who do not wear the hijab. The government is calling for them to be banned from subways, banking, and government services. The Government Morality Watch people, of course, there's a morality group, has been surveying now social media to try to find women, again, not wearing the hijab in social media. Thank you, user, for the fireworks. The provincial officials are starting to segregate by sex in the workplace, and therefore a number of women and their male supporters have called for tomorrow as a day of civil disobedience in Russia. I'm already getting thrown back to our main topic here. Civil disobedience in Iran, and they're calling for women to take off the hijab and for men to defend them, to help them not get arrested by the police, because that's what happens. A hardline group has already called for women who refuse to wear the hijab, thank you, Jesse, to be doused with acid. I mean, this is the kind of politics they're dealing with there. And I had shown a video on my TikTok that was really cool, showing this woman taking off her hijab in a roundabout, a circle, a circle for traffic. And she's kind of flinging her scarf around, and this policeman stops and grabs her and tries to arrest her. Very smart woman starts screaming bloody murder, but I'm talking as if you're being attacked. I mean, bloody murder screaming. The crowd turns. The first person to help her is a woman wearing a much like the bigger hijab, like almost a burqa. I mean, the big black everything, the black outfit. She's the first woman. She's grabbing the woman's arm, pulling her from the cop. Another guy joins in to help. Well, the video goes on. There's like 20 plus people who are because this woman keeps screaming bloody murder. Men come running. You've got like 20 people trying to help this woman get away from the police. Finally, because they've all crowded the cop turns around, walks away, gets into his car, and leaves. It is a remarkable video anywhere, let alone in Iran, where it's a dictatorship and it's a kind of a scary religious dictatorship. So really, really, really cool. So if you get a moment later, check out my TikTok channel. I've got the video on there. Anyway, that's what's up in Iran. The protest is tomorrow, so just keep an eye on it if the issue interests you. Voila. All right, on to the main news. Russia today, let me have a little sip of my tea. I've got my tea again because my allergies have been bothering me, my asthma, and this helps. There we go. Russia cut off gas to Germany today, natural gas. They claimed it was a scheduled maintenance of the gas pipeline, Nord Stream 1. The Germans are pretty worried. The French are basically saying, I told you so, because the French warned this weekend, just yesterday, that they thought the Russians were going to cut off gas completely. Not clear when, but they thought it was going to happen. Thank you, Kanausi. And all I can say is for it being the Russians claim regularly scheduled maintenance. Reuters and some of the media are claiming it's regularly scheduled maintenance. There's a lot of freak out in the media and by the Germans as well about this regularly scheduled maintenance to make you think that it's not regularly scheduled maintenance. The Germans are afraid, understandably so, that the Russians are not going to turn the gas back on when the 10 days are over. And if that doesn't happen, that is huge trouble for Germany. Not great for France. As somebody had mentioned yesterday, I pulled up again the data. Germany is reliant on Russia for about 35% of its natural gas supplies. France is reliant on Russia for about 17% of its gas supplies. Both countries, actually Europe overall, is trying to basically buy extra gas right now and store it so that in the winter, if Russia cuts them off entirely, and the winter is the worst time because things are freezing, right? That's when people really need the gas. But it's also bad for businesses. A lot of German businesses, factories would have to close down. Anyway, It's a huge deal. Keep an eye on this story. But the Germans are a little bit worried that this is going to go beyond 10 days. So let's see what happens. A really cool story I saw in the last hour, which I did not realize, and I'm even going to show you a map for this one. There are 8 foreign ships in Ukrainian ports ready to export Ukrainian grain. Now, what happened here was the Ukrainian Navy reported that with its help, the foreign ships were able to arrive at Ukrainian ports via the Danube Black Sea Canal. Now, let me show you this. And the use of the canal, it's in Romania, opened up as a possibility because the Ukrainians took over Snake Island. Remember that island that was going back and forth, and the Ukrainians recently kind of blew up the Russians again, and the Russians had to leave? Because the Ukrainians control that island, thank you, Kanausi, they now are able to open up a safe sea lane. Let me show you the map and you'll see what I mean. Now, one thing I'm curious about is if any of you military experts can tell me, thanks, Marcy, for the glasses, any of you military folks can tell me, why wouldn't these ships still be subject to Russian submarines? Now, let me show you. We got fireworks from Crusher going off there on TikTok. I'm showing TikTok first, and then I'll show you guys. You see the red dot is the red X at the top is where Snake Island is. The red dot is where the Danube Black Sea Canal is, and then it goes. Oops, I'm getting my updates on stocks there. Actually, hold on. Let me turn that. I'm going to turn my phone off. There we go. Hang on. I'm not getting like updates on stocks. You can see there. So what happened is basically that ships can go from Odessa, hug the coast. They go via Snake Island, the X, and then they keep hugging the coast and they get to the canal. I'll show you guys there. So you can see Odessa at the top. To the right is Crimea. X marks the spot for the Snake Island. And then we can even see it's labeled, the Danube Black Sea Canal. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is, are the ships able to do this because they're hugging the coast? How is this not a problem for submarines? Now, okay, folks are starting to weigh in. Let me see here. Surface ships can board vessels. Submarines can only attack and can't be used as intimidation. Don't think Russia would fire on a foreign flagged vessel. Okay, Chris, that was my question, I guess. It's funny, actually. That was the second point I wrote down was, is it because they're afraid to fire? I rephrase this. My second point I wrote down was, would Russia really attack a foreign vessel? Because we worried about it, but a lot of us were saying, okay, depth of water is a possibility, Flower Lady. I was saying, for example, they can hug the coast, not deep enough for subs, which Kelly Fonts is saying. But here's the question. If it's not deep enough for a sub, does that mean it's not deep enough for a torpedo? First question. Second question, Russia has the equivalent of Harpoon missiles that we have and we gave the Ukrainians, right? You know Russia's got anti-ship missiles. Thank you, Al. So why couldn't Russia fire some anti-ship missiles off of Crimea? That's the other question, right? Just see, did anybody got an idea? I've been really curious about this. Thank you, Grandma, for the Borg. Okay, nobody's weighing in. All right, I'm going to let it go on. Possibly escorted ships. I don't know. Russia might also. Oh, we got a little more here now. Russia might also worry about sea mines. Ukrainian Navy might be guiding foreign ships to avoid them. Now, that's true. That's true. There are a lot of mines in the area. That actually is very true. We know that. Subs can be tracked very evening. I'm going to say that says easily by aircraft control of water. That is why the British did not think the Argentine aircraft carrier, as they were scared of being. Okay, Chris, I'm not totally understanding what you wrote. Sorry, I'm not getting all the words there. Yeah, they said it's because of the takeback of Snake Island. Yeah, and again, let me show you the map again. I mean, if you look at the map, it does kind of make sense. Okay, I'll show you guys again. Look at the map. If you look from Odessa at the top, you cross Snake Island and then you get to the canal. If you're hugging the coast, and mind you, Snake Island is right in the middle. So depending, my guess is, actually, here's a question. Maybe they didn't move weapons to Snake Island, which is the X. Maybe they eliminated weapons on Snake Island, and we know they did. Not maybe they eliminated, but maybe by eliminating the weapons on Snake Island, they eliminated one of the biggest threats to the ships. That's a possibility. Thank you, Netlin, for that. I love the galaxy. Snake Island can't fire on coastal ships. They can't anymore, but they could if they had weapons back when the Russians had the weapons on there. Are you agreeing with me that they can't do it now? The water is mined. We know that. Yep. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to move on. I just thought it was interesting. Thank you, Louis, for that. That's always one of my faves. Anyway, the Ukrainians are sure. The Ukrainians are sure that this is going to work. So let's see. I mean, there's still a chance of the Russians attacking, obviously. So French fries. I have a French fry story. Thank you, Miss Mickey. I love this story. Anything that proves the sanctions are working makes me happy. So McDonald's, as you know, left Russia permanently. They sold their franchise to their local franchise operator, whatever it was. Excuse me. Thank you, Netlin, for those. And the local guy promised, the new Russian fake McDonald's without the Mick is going to be, thank you, Iggy, is going to be just like McDonald's. The food will be the same. Everything will be on the menu. Well, French fries are gone, and they're gone for the next several months. Yeah, no fries for you. That's exactly as Luke's saying. Yep, the fry NZ. The French fries are gone, in part because apparently there was a really bad crop last year, and apparently internationally, I guess, there has been a bad crop. Other parts of Europe have this issue too. Thank you, Grandma. Exactly. Head slam, face palm there. But also the sanctions did play a role in why, thank you, Kanausi, in why the Russians can't get their fries. So they're not getting fries, and they're not getting them. It said for months they're not getting fries. Just made me laugh. I mean, I've got a couple Russian trolls who like to go after me every time I post a story about how the sanctions are working. So as I call it, they like to come and Putin-splain me that, I'm how, you Americans don't understand how Russia works. And I'm like, dude, you're broadcasting about the war from within Russia. I got news for you. Right? There's no way in hell you're telling us the truth. So anyway, very interesting. Ukrainians announced that they hit the most important command center in Kherson. I believe this news came out yesterday. Kherson, the town is here. I actually finally looked up the province, the oblasts, the provinces, and they're a little bigger than I realized. But the Kherson Oblast, more or less, is this region here-ish. And the Ukrainians have been hitting it really hard, going after the ammunition, and also blowing up the collaborators. That's the region where the collaborators have just been getting blown up left and right, meaning local Ukrainians who are willing to work with the Russian occupiers. And they've been getting blown up in bomb attacks by, secret little bomb attacks there. Well, anyway, the Ukrainians claimed, but we have some proof, claimed that they blew up one of the most important command centers in Kherson, or the most important, killing 12 people. The Russian troops, there was a electronics intercept of a phone call of Russian troops talking. I got the whole transcript. It's going online, which I tell you guys how those things are out every day. Thank you, Netlin. Translated by this great guy named Dmitry. And even the Russian troops were talking about it. The Russian troops called it the most important command center in that province. Thank you, Netlin, which is huge. So that 12 people dying means 12 people dying, getting killed at the most important command center for that province. That means these could be 12 very senior people. So anyway, big deal on that front. Russian military bloggers, more on them. The military bloggers I've told you guys about before. Hold on, one sip of tea. Okay, that was a little hot. Oh, I heated my tea up a little too much. Oh, I keep forgetting that. Bah. I'm going to have to throw an ice cube in that thing. The Russian military bloggers are, thank you, Grandma, are people that go on social media platforms. They're usually former military, and they write about the war. Because they're very far right, They are supportive of the war, but because they've got, I did burn my color, because they're so far right, most of their readers are Putin fans. They're Putin's base. And I talked about this the other day, that Putin has not been able to clamp down or censor these people because their readers are Putin's base. So if Putin censors them, Putin's own base will get pissed off. Well, these military bloggers are basically the only people in Russia who have been able to tell the truth about the war. It's been really interesting. I mean, really interesting. So a couple different things. One of the military bloggers, his name is Dmitry, he goes by the name Dmitriev, whether it's his real name or not, who knows. He has around 100,000 followers, which is a lot, actually. It's a lot for any social media, let alone Russia. Population around 150 million or so, maybe. Well, he was explaining why the Ukrainians, let me step back a second. The Ukrainians have been having such a good time blowing up the Russian ammunition depots, the ammunition storage, because the Russians store them all in centralized places, okay? They put all the ammunition together, thank you, Purnell, in huge batches, and then, even more crazy, they put huge amounts of ammunition close to other huge amounts of ammunition. And one of the intercepts, I don't have it in front of me, but I read it yesterday. One of the intercepted communications of the Russians had them talking and basically saying, one guy was great. One guy goes, I warned them. I told them. I said, the way you're placing the ammunitions, they're gonna blow up. Because of what they were doing is they did some kind of a checkerboard pattern or something. And the Russians thought they had a burn or something in the middle that was going to protect all the ammunition from blowing all the other ammunition up. This guy goes, I told them it's going to be a chain reaction and it's going to be a disaster. Well, what happened? The Ukrainians attack. They hit one of the ammunition dumps, one of the big storage facilities, and it blew up all the other ammunition storage in the area because they all daisy chained. Like, it threw shrapnel, and it was crazy. Anyway, so this military blogger with 100,000 followers did a really interesting analysis, just saying that, good job, mods. I'm watching the mods on TikTok. It's kind of a crazy day there. You're doing very well. You're doing very well. This guy needs to go too. Little Fun Hunter is leaving us. I'll let the mods do it. I usually do it, but there you go. There you go. So what he's saying is they really can't decentralize. What the Russians need to do to stop their ammunition from blowing up, mind you, oh, I'm sorry, the other reason the ammunition is blowing up, of course, is the Ukrainians have got now the HIMARS, which is this rocket system. We gave them rockets that go medium range, that go up to 42 miles, but it's such a significant difference that they're now able to hit these ammunition depots. Well, the military blogger explained that Russia is such a centralized society that you can't, he can go to, this guy's obvious too, mods, thank you, just so you know. You're doing good today, thank you. Russia's such a centralized society and such a centralized government. I mean, it's not just the history of communism, but even before that, you had the czars. You know, you've never had a democracy in Russia, that there's just no way for them to decentralize the actual anything in the country because it's always central. It was just a very interesting analysis because, like, from my perspective as an American, I'm thinking, how hard can this be? You know, you just split up the ammunition into smaller pieces and spread it around. Russia just can't function. They can't even imagine doing it that way. I think, oh, actually, this is an interesting one I want to read you. Okay, this is one of the quotes. This is this guy, Roman Saponkov. He's a Russian military blogger. He's got around 25,000 followers, and he watched one of the HIMARS attacks, one of the Ukrainians using the new medium-range weapons. He watched the explosions up close and was impressed, and he said this about it in a phone call that, of course, got intercepted by the Ukrainians, and then it went public. So listen to this. As it happened yesterday, I observed the strike of HIMARS, which is the medium range, or I should say the rocket system, at Chernobyevka, Kherson, the Kherson province I've been telling you about, occupied by the Russians. Let me tell you really quick. Almost in front of my eyes. I've been under shelling many times, but what struck me was that the whole pack, 5 or 6 rockets, landed almost into a penny, meaning the 5 or 6 rockets all came and landed almost on the same spot as if if there were a penny there, they almost all 6 hit the penny, is what he's saying. It was that good of the, the targeting of the rockets. Usually MLRS, which is a similar system, but it's what the Russians have basically, fall over large areas and at maximum distance scatter in a fan-like pattern. It makes quite an impressive, meaning this is translated from the Russian, so meaning it's quite impressive. Can't argue with that, especially when later that day I was on a trip. And I saw a cluster from the Uragan, which is one of the Russian missile systems, fall. Oh, I saw the cluster. I saw the attack from the Uragan fall around 500 meters from us. It scattered over a large area. Unexploded missiles remained stuck in the fields. So the individual missiles were all over the place. And mind you, the idea is it fires 5 or 6 missiles at once, and they're all supposed to hit the same target. So he's saying their missiles were all over the place, and many of them were unexploded, which isn't good either. After the Americans, meaning after what I saw the Americans do, this did not look serious to me. Meaning it didn't look serious what the Russians were doing. The area was later shelled with howitzers, which also missed. If it was HIMARS, it would have been covered completely from the get-go. So this thing is good. The final point, he says, I see an unhealthy panic in social media following the results of the first strikes. Again, really nice feedback, because what it's telling you is the Russians themselves are admitting that many among them are freaking out at how well the Ukrainians are doing with these new airstrikes. Not airstrikes, but missile strikes with the systems that we and the Brits, and I think the Germans may have given them, and the Norwegians have helped out as well. So all very good news. And again, what's neat about it is it's being confirmed by the Russians themselves, which is kind of cool. Assuming these conversations are real, who knows, but I'm trusting the Ukrainians on this. Sephora, the big, beauty company, I guess I'll call them, beauty cosmetics. The French chain Sephora just left Russia for good. They sold 100% of their franchises to local operators. Thank you, Grandma, for that. And what is interesting, and I pointed this out before, there is a growing number of huge international companies that have not just frozen operations in Russia, but have now left for good. McDonald's, we just talked about, IKEA, I think Nike. There were a number of them, right? It's a number of them. So it's been really interesting to see that. And why I find it interesting is I think Putin was planning. First of all, we knew the war was going to be 3 days, right? That was what it was going to happen, 3 days. After that, it's now been 5 months, right? And I think Putin thought the companies were going to come back. I think he thought the war is going to be 3 days. The companies will be back in a few weeks, right? The war will be over, blah, blah, blah. Well, now what's happened is Putin has committed a genocide in Ukraine, and American companies, but European companies as well, are looking at this and going, how the hell do we reopen? Let's pretend the war ends at Christmas or next year. They've committed genocide. How do you move back into a country that has committed genocide? They would get, I can speak as an American. In the American market, an American company would be destroyed for that. So unpatriotic if they did that. And clearly the same thing's happening in Europe. So I think, as I've said before, you're going to see a lot of companies leaving. I will also say, final point here, anybody out there who's more of an activist, we've got to keep pressuring these companies to leave, because clearly they're susceptible to it and they're worried about it. So something you can do. Now, I was going to look real quick. Somebody reminded me, if I've got the picture here, I don't know if I do. Hold on, I'm going to look. I had sort of a funny joke that, hold on. Worst comes to worst, I'm going to look at it. Yeah. So, I just thought it was just kind of goofy, but someone had tweeted this and they simply tweeted, it's HIMARS o'clock. It was just stupid, but it made me laugh. It was like, what time is it? HIMARS o'clock. Again, it's incredibly stupid. It's one of those things where I can't tell you why I found it funny. It just made me laugh. And with the dog, with the Doge dog in the corner, just to add to the fun. So in more serious news, the update. Let me tell you first what happened. So the Russians over the weekend hit a 5-story residential building in the city of Chasiv Yar in Donetsk Oblast. Donetsk is Donetsk Oblast. I finally got my oblast down here for the east. Oh, hello. Thank you for the hat there, user and Stalcat. Donetsk is the region right here. Okay. It's the one where the Russians control about 50%, and now they're trying to get the rest of it. And they attacked this weekend, hit a residential building. The death toll is now up to 30 people. 30 civilians dead, which is obviously awful. They're still trying to get people out of the rubble. So the death toll has actually been, this has been 2 days now. The attack was on the 9th. So the rescue operation is continuing, but obviously growing concerns as it's already been 48 hours. In Kharkiv, so Kharkiv as well. Kharkiv, second largest town in Ukraine, city, 1.5 million people. The Russians really want to get their hands on this town. They haven't been successful. They've invaded, but they got pushed back by the Ukrainians. So the Russians still control some of the region, the Kharkiv region, but Kharkiv, the town itself, they can't touch. So what are the Russians doing? The Russians are bombing the bejesus out of it, which is what the Russians do. They take their artillery, the artillery that hasn't been blown up, and they just blow up civilians. They blow up residences, as we talked about in the other town. So in Kharkiv, 3 people were killed and at least 31 injured, including a 4-year-old and a 16-year-old, in airstrikes that hit the northern region of Kharkiv early Monday. The city of Kharkiv was hit by 3 airstrikes overnight that damaged a high-rise residential building, a school, and a warehouse. This is another interesting little story. I like stories like this, the one that's next, because it's one of these that potentially tells you more about what's going on. This is a story that was reported out by the Institute for the Study of War, which is a defense think tank here in Washington, D.C. They are highly respected by defense types, so by defense experts. They said that here we go. Where was this? There was the Russians fired a massive number of surface-to-air missiles at Mykolaiv and Kherson, at the Mykolaiv region and the Kherson region. Again, Kherson region here, Mykolaiv up here. There's been a lot of fighting going on because the Russians control down here. The Ukrainians are up here, and they are pushing down. They're trying to push down to take their land back. So the Russians shot a ton of surface-to-air missiles, but mind you, when I say surface-to-air missiles, I'm talking anti-aircraft missiles. These are missiles that are on the ground, and when a plane flies over, they shoot up and they take the plane down, okay? Bingo. Bobby Matty asks, why surface-to-air on land targets? That's the question. They did and the story said a massive number of missiles fired at land targets in this region by the Russians. Well, Institute for the Study of War said 2 things. The other point they said was, it's incredibly stupid to do. Thank you for the origami there, Iggy. It's incredibly dumb, first of all, because I think they don't hit as well. Like, it's not like you can target the ground as well as you can target a plane. Also, the payload, the actual bomb on the front of the warhead, is very small in these missiles because they're blowing up airplanes in the air. Airplanes are very fragile. You just need to get some shrapnel to go through the plane, through the fuel, through the engine, and you've got problems. These are small bombs. So when you fire it against a land target, you don't do as much damage. Well, what Institute for the Study of War thinks is either the Russians are running out of surface-to-surface missiles, which are the missiles you should be using, thank you, Uncle Crazy, which, again, fire from the surface and go and bomb the surface. Either they're running out of them, or the sanctions have caused the Russians to run low on parts needed for the guidance systems or the communication systems of these rockets. So that basically the Russians are no longer able to guide and control and direct the rockets to the right place. So they've got to now use these surface-to-air missiles. So it's either they're running out entirely, or the systems or the sanctions are working. Either way, again, good news. Don't get me wrong. The trolls like to kind of scream about this, but they're not wrong in this. Ukraine is not winning this war tomorrow. So I'm not saying that. But, there's kind of a standoff going on to a degree, and anything that makes it harder for the Russians to counterattack is good news. And this is good news. Starting Monday, okay, actually, some of you raised this. You raised this the other day, and I just figured I'd give you a little more info on it. Starting today, Monday, goods including concrete, wood, alcohol, and alcohol-based industrial chemicals will no longer be permitted to travel through Lithuania by land from Kaliningrad to mainland Russia. Now, I've talked before about Kaliningrad. Kaliningrad is this little piece of Russia that is north of Poland, south of Lithuania. If you Google Poland on the map, look to the northeast, up and to the right, and you will literally see this piece of land called Kaliningrad. And it is part of Russia, but it's not connected to Russia. Think of it as Hawaii if you're American, or Alaska in that case, right? But it's kind of a surprising to Americans, at least, because I think a lot of us did not realize that there's literally kind of a piece of Russia in Europe. I don't really consider Russia to be European. So a little piece of this Russia in Europe, I would say. Well, in order for Russia to reach this peace, okay, it's peace standing on its own. This is surrounded by Lithuania and Poland. Russia's all the way over here. In order for Russia to send trains back and forth to Kaliningrad to ship goods back and forth, it's got to traverse Lithuania. Well, the Lithuanians, thank you, Kat, for that. The Lithuanians said about, maybe it's been a week ago, 2 weeks ago now, Lithuanians said, look, under the sanctions regime against Russia, and the Lithuanians are correct, by the way, under the sanctions regime, we are not allowed to permit goods that are sanctioned, that are embargoed, to transit our territory. In other words, Russia cannot send embargoed goods to Kaliningrad via Lithuania. It's not allowed. Well, the Russians freaked out. They claimed, oh, Lithuania has shut off all rail traffic to our state, blah, blah, blah. Total lie. Well, Lithuania, they've been threatening the Lithuanians. The Lithuanians, I mean, no one's reporting it this way, but to me, they just threatened Lithuania, okay? And they've been threatening them pretty badly. Lithuania turns around and says, okay, I'm going to ban 4 more things. Mind you, we're dealing with Russians here. I'm banning alcohol. I mean, it's an incredibly dicky move, I would say, of the Lithuanians. We're going to put even more sanctions. And by the way, guess what? We're cutting off your alcohol, Boris. I mean, it's pretty bad. So that's what the Lithuanians are doing. The Russians, I don't know if I wrote it down here, but I remembered what it was anyway. The Russians in response, let me see if I've got it here. Otherwise, like I said, I remember what the response was. Oh, here it is. I don't have it here. The Russians in response said, we're going to cut off all traffic, all trade with the Baltic states from Russia. And I don't know, maybe the Baltic states get a lot of stuff from Russia, but I would guarantee you there's probably nothing the Baltic states, which are Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, get from Russia that they can't get from the rest of Europe. Come on. What's Russia? I mean, Russia exports oil and gas. Now, maybe they're going to try to cut off more of the oil and gas. Who knows, right? But they've already been playing games with that. Otherwise, diamonds, who cares? And there really isn't anything else. I mean, there's oil and gas and diamonds and vodka. But again, the vodka comes from elsewhere anyway. So I like that story because honestly, like I said, no one's really reporting it this way. To me, this means caviar, sure. But to me, this means the Lithuanians are playing hardball, which I like. Not so happy of news. A local official says the Russians are planning to force Mariupol residents into their army by autumn. Mariupol, you may recall, is the town. Now, mind you, the Russians control everything here, basically, okay? This is Crimea, the peninsula that they stole in 2014, and this is the new stuff that they invaded and took over. I mean, it kind of comes up here as well. So all of this, right? Mariupol is this town over here on the sea, and it is the town where the Russians were bombing the hell out of it. Remember, for like 3 months, there were these soldiers that were holed up in the steel factory, the Azovstal steel factory, and 2,000 Ukrainian troops held off 14,000 Russians for several months. I mean, kind of amazing, right? What they pulled off. In any case, it's also the town where the Russians bombed the maternity ward of the hospital. Remember the the iconic photo of the woman, the pregnant woman on the gurney being taken out, and she and her baby both died. It is also the town in which the theater that had the words children written on it in Russian, was it Dzieci or whatever, but written in Russian on the side and the top, and the Russians bombed it anyway, killing at least 300 people. Reuters did their own analysis. Reuters or the AP did their own analysis and came to the conclusion 600 people were killed in that bombing. So this is Mariupol. Just to have in context what Mariupol is, there's still no food. There's still no water. There are illnesses like cholera cropping up. The Russians are doing a bad job managing it, and they're not letting people leave. They're not letting people leave and go to safety. They're only letting them go to Russia, which is really bad too. Well, now the story is that according to an aide to the mayor, Russia plans to use civilians as cannon fodder, and they are planning to force the residents to join the Russian army by autumn. Now, I'd raised this before, and it's kind of an interesting question as to why you would want locals in your army, because wouldn't they just turn on you and fire at you? Our best guess was that the Russians basically say, we're going to kill your family back home if you don't do this. Again, I would think I'd be like, sure, give me the weapon. Give me the weapon. I'd be happy to help. And then, right, turn on everybody else. But nonetheless, that town's had so many problems. The Dutch Prime Minister, Mark Rutte, visited Ukraine today. He visited Bucha, Irpin, and Borodyanka, 3 cities that were hit hard, of course. Bucha. Of course, Bucha was the really horrific city. Oh, actually, hold on a second. I had a question here, a statement from Elise. Elise asks, any idea why the Russian Duma chairman, who's the head of the parliament, I guess, called for an extraordinary plenary meeting tonight? From many sources around 3 hours ago. No idea. I didn't even hear about it. I don't know. Anybody else hearing anything or what? I'll just sort of pose it out there. I'll keep going on with this. See if anybody has heard anything, feel free to jump in. I did not hear about it. I mean, it's interesting they're calling it during the war. Knowing the Russians, though, my guess is it's something about Lithuania would be my guess. Because remember, they promised they were going to do something bad about Lithuania. Yeah. Bubba Mati says, to say that Putin's gone and the war is over. That would be nice. That would be very nice. Don't know. Yeah, check Twitter too. Yeah, exactly. What was I going to tell you? So the Dutch Prime Minister is there, just visiting, obviously meeting with Zelensky as well. The White House says, this is actually second to last story. The White House says Iran might provide hundreds of drones to Russia. The White House said today that it has information that Russia is turning to Iran to provide Russia with hundreds of unmanned aerial vehicles, unmanned drones. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said Iran plans to train Russians in using the drones this month. It is unclear whether Iran has already provided the drones or whether they are still coming. Not a big surprise that Iran would be evil. And actually, the final thing, I saw some feedback on the story that you guys raised yesterday. Somebody had mentioned that the Sunday Times in London had reported about the Ukrainians talking about their 1 million-man army. And we talked a little bit about it. I saw a little bit more now, and I saw a little bit more about it. There was, I'm forgetting his name. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the guy's name. Somebody's been sending me like these wonderful videos of this English guy on Sky News, or one of them, who's really good. But what he was saying is he thinks the Ukrainians have an army of 400,000 troops right now. He thinks when the host said, could they get to 1 million like they're saying? He said, oh, definitely. He goes, it's going to take several months, but they can definitely get to 1 million with what they're doing. He did mention, because he mentioned 400,000, and he said the 400,000 the Ukrainians have is a hell of a lot more than the Russians have in theater. I mean, the Russians, right, the reports were 200,000, give or take. I don't know the exact number, but I know it was around 2. Michael Clark, there you go, thank you. Michael Clark, he's the guy. He was saying that the Ukrainians have a hell of a lot more troops with 400,000 than the Russians have. So, and again, if the Russians have 200,000, now mind you, all the troops are tired, so you got that problem. But nonetheless, Yeah, and actually, Sammy Girl's saying, I read that it's 1 million, including the Foreign Legion, police, and other security, which I think that's yeah, that makes sense. Russia, 280,000, Eric? Are they up to that now? Oh, that's interesting. Eric is saying from Paris that the Russians are now up to 280,000. Interesting. But yes, Ukraine aims to amass a 1 million strong army, exactly, according to Syndicate. That is correct. Okay, Derek just posted a link, guys. I can't copy it myself, but maybe check out that Silkway News. Although I don't know what Silkway News is. Are they credible, Derek? About the story on the Duma gathering, the emergency gathering tonight of the legislature. Let me Google myself. Hold on a second. I'm going to Google myself and see. Hold on, I don't want to lose the lose the live feed. Thank you, Inspired Woman. Good to see you again. Let me see here. Emergency meeting, Duma. All right. This is from Newsweek. The Daily Beast. Putin's cronies told to ditch summer vacation for mystery emergency meeting. It's written like a tabloid. Russia's State Duma chairman, Vyacheslav Volodin, announced an emergency session Monday, calling back Russian lawmakers for an extraordinary meeting just as representatives went out for summer vacation. That is interesting. Okay, raising alarm that Russia's parliament might be preparing to escalate the war in Ukraine. The need for an extraordinary plenary meeting is due to the fact that issues have accumulated. This does sound like the war. Issues have accumulated means NATO has done too many things to us, right? That require urgent solutions, Volodin said on Telegram. Government initiatives will also be considered. He's the head of the United Russia Party. The head of, I'm sorry, different guy, Vladimir Vasilyev, the head of the United Russia Party, chimed in as well. It is necessary that the processes going on now receive a legal response. God, these people, they all talk like, what's her face from Harry Potter? Remember the woman wearing pink who finally got what was coming to her? Every time I read these guys, what's her name? I'm forgetting now. Dolores Umbridge, right? They all talk like Dolores Umbridge, right? It is necessary that the processes going on now receive a legal response. Could you just see her saying it? I mean, where it's just, you're kind of going, what the hell did you just say? Like, what does that even mean? It was not immediately clear what goals the emergency session will achieve specifically, but Russian President Vladimir Putin's warnings in recent days have colored the haziness. The warning comes right after Putin says he hasn't even gotten serious about the war yet. Let me see. Yeah, nothing else here. I mean, they've been, threatening Alaska, but as an American, I laugh. We laugh when we hear they're threatening Alaska, to be honest. So there you go. So Dolores Umbridge is pissed. I do think it's interesting that they're having, thank you, Cami, for those, that they're calling the legislators back. Thank you, Stylecat. Calling them back into town is interesting. That's interesting to me. But let's see. It still can be a very angry parliamentary blah, 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 démarche, or whatever you want to call it, So who knows? Now that's interesting. Chris says it could be that Russia cannot call up its reserves as there has not been war declared, as war has not been declared, and only to fight to defend their borders. Exactly. I mean, it could be because of the reserve problem, and it is true. Russia's having a hard time getting troops, and ironically, because I think for a lot of us, we think of Russia as being kind of lawless, but the whole issue of not declaring war has actually caused problems for Putin in terms of getting more troops. Kind of fascinating, really. So they may be trying to fix that problem as well, or that may be the problem they're trying to fix. There we go. My tea's getting a little bit better. Yeah, they're not declaring war. Actually, that's it. That's all I got. That went long, but we've been talking about a lot of stuff, which I don't mind it going long because we've been discussing, which is good. Oh yeah, that was Daily Beast. That was from the Daily Beast. So Daily Beast is legitimate. If you're asking me, Jingle Bells. I love when I have to say your name. But that's the Daily Beast. They're legitimate. Yeah. They could declare, who knows? Sure, checkers. They could declare, the national mobilization. Maybe they will, but that's going to piss people off. Well, part of the thing they were worried about was, I will check the Q&A. Yep. Hey, Ninja, thank you for that. Part of what they were worried about was basically Putin. I know a lot about Alaska. I worked in Alaska. I've been to Alaska 10 times. So I know a lot, but I think, Russia's not going to do squat about Alaska. And I've met Alaskans. I know Alaskans. The Russians wouldn't survive 2 minutes against an Alaska native woman. That's all I got to say. She'd destroy those people. Declaring war on Ukraine would acknowledge that it's a sovereign nation. That's very funny from Kelly. One of the other problems is if Russia has a national mobilization, it's an admission that the war isn't working. Ronbo, then you know what I'm talking about. Exactly. Alaska, not even just the natives. Alaskans are tough as shit. It's a totally soft threat against Alaska. Absolutely. Think Sarah Palin, but not as crazy. I mean, they've all got balls of steel up there. I love them, but Alaskans, when I first started, I worked with a senator from Alaska for 5 years. And when I first started working for him, I remember one Alaska in particular, but a number of them did this. I'd meet them. Hi, I'm senator's aviation advisor or whatever it was. And they'd literally like, you're very young. What makes you qualified to do this job? I mean, just to my face, these people would say this. A lot of Alaskans said that to me. So I'd go through my credentials and they'd be like, oh, okay, that's good. That's good. But boy, no bullshit from these people. I worked for Stevens. Yeah. Back in the day. So very funny. Karen Jones says, thoughts on UN report. I saw that. Yeah, there was a UN report that blamed Ukraine and Russia for a nursing home bombing. I didn't see the details. I just glossed over the article, Karen. But my guess from looking at it briefly was that both of them had bombed the area. I'm going to go with indiscriminately, probably. Yeah, don't speak of the UN. I'm happy to talk about the UN in this context. I didn't read it in detail, so I don't know. I'll say this. The Ukraine, like any country, isn't going to be perfect. We know there were even some potential war crimes of the Ukrainians killing Russian soldiers. The only thing is it was like 1 or 2 cases that we know, but nonetheless. I don't know beyond that, though. I don't know beyond that. Let me see here real quick. Oh, okay. Sorry. I was looking at what Ryan had mentioned, and then I'll go check the comments next for you guys. Ryan was just weighing in previously, but I'd saved it because I saw him weighing in when I was in the middle of a story about the issue with the Germans and the Russians cutting off the natural gas, saying a lot seemed to disagree with you on that one. Maybe. Can see both sides, especially from a media perspective, though only time will tell. Could be a temporary outage intending to squeeze Germany a bit. Well, that's the thing. My point is, I'm not convinced this is scheduled maintenance. Let me rephrase that. It could be scheduled maintenance, but it's maintenance that was going to happen this fall or later, right? And the Russians said, let's do it now because the Germans are freaking out, right? And mind you, I forgot to mention this. You will notice, when did the Russians cut off all this natural gas to Germany? A day after the Germans got the Canadians to cave and give back that machine part the Russians want for their turbine. The Russians cut off 60% of Germany's natural gas because the turbine was covered by sanctions and Canada wasn't returning it. So the Germans put pressure on the Canadians. The Americans helped. The Canadians cave, give the part back, and what does Russia do? That has cut off 60% of the natural gas to Germany. They cut off the rest of it. Okay, I think maybe, like I said, maybe it's maintenance that had to happen this year, but I think the Russians said, do it now because Germany's scared. Germany's caving. We see all the discussion on German weapons and how the promises kind of going both ways. right? The whole issue yesterday that I talked about the 9 trillion, the 9 billion, excuse me, in European Union aid is getting held up by Germany. They're seeing the news we're seeing, and the Russians are going, you know what? This is maybe the time to put pressure on Germany. Russia capturing Ukrainian equipment. I haven't seen them, though. I haven't seen it. So, but I am going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to block you because your name sounds like you're going after me, and that ain't cool. Also, it's a disgusting name, so bye. All right, guys. What else? All right, let me go. I keep pulling up my controller from my my thing here. Hang on a sec. Beep, 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 beep. All right, let me look at the questions here. All right. Beep, 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 beep. Q&A. All righty. Oop. Now I've got to turn my Wi-Fi back on, and my Q&A won't start. Here we go. Oh, that's funny. What do you think about New York City? JSM says, what do you think about New York City getting a nuclear bomb preparedness alert? This is an obvious response to all the Russian threats. You know, not a terrible idea, actually. I mean, it's scary, right? But, you know, I did not grow up with the nuclear drills here in the States, but people older than me did. I think my generation might have been the first generation where we didn't have it. You know, I was starting grade school or kindergarten in the late 1960s, whereas, you know, my sister and those guys, they had duck and cover. Duck is when you do this. Duck and Cover was a famous movie, a famous little propaganda clip shown by the government to teach people how to, teaching kids how to get under their desks during a nuclear attack, you know? Oh, that's interesting. It depends where you live then. Okay, Missy is not even 50 and they had it. Okay, so it totally depends where you lived. We did not have it in Chicago. We always had tornado drills, which we still have to this day, where you practice for a tornado hitting. So, you know, in view of this stuff going on, I mean, I think it's a bit extreme for New York to practice it. It's probably not a totally crazy idea because let's face it, if there ever were a nuclear attack, New Yorkers wouldn't know what to do because they haven't practiced. So, I mean, it's not totally crazy, but it's also, it feels a little extreme. But when I think about it, I think, you know, it wouldn't kill people to know what to do, so to speak, to mix my metaphor there, you know? So I'm not totally against it. Sorry, a number of you guys have been throwing comments in here. Let me see. Drills will just increase the fear of nuclear strikes. That is very true. That is absolutely, that's my concern though, exactly. I don't think it's terrible for them to have them, but it does worry me a little, you know? Yeah, they're doing it. They're trying to scare Germany, exactly. Let me see what else we got here. Oh, Ryan, hey, I don't know. Maybe you rant more about the Germans than I do, Ryan. What I don't maybe. Eric says maybe that drill will maybe alert U.S. citizens that the war is not only in Europe. No, very true, very true. Although that could hit both ways. That may make them less willing to support the war. But yeah, New York City is telling people to get away from windows and then take a shower after the bomb. I mean, again, not stupid, but sounds kind of funny. Hold on. Oh, we've got Nathan's favorite people are here. God, the crazy porn trolls are here. Here you go. After I block them, I then put them in timeout so they make them go away. I know we all scream, Nathan! I don't even know if he's here today, but Nathan in absentia if he's not here. What else we got? I promise I love the Germans. Okay, Nathan. Ryan saying he does love the Germans. Moscow gives British embassy new address. I saw that, and the Brits are refusing to use it, which is fabulous. Okay, I'm good on that one. You know, yeah, in Europe we had drills on nuclear strikes. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, starting after Chernobyl. That's interesting because that was 1986. That's interesting. I would have thought that was when things started getting better. Yeah, I know. No kidding, Tyson. Well, no, you know what I did though? I I had a little leftover chamomile from yesterday, so it was literally this much. So I put that in my microwave, of course, because it was this much, and it was already stuff was in it, and it was too hot. All right, let me look for another question here. What is it? 701. Let me see what else we got here. Oh, that's interesting. H.I. Sutton on Twitter talked about Russia's big submarine, Typhoon class, biggest ever made, now going to the Black Sea. Any news about that? I have not seen that. What is interesting is supposedly no ships, or call this a ship, are supposed to go into the Black Sea that are not based there to start with. So the Turks shouldn't be allowing this, I would think, from what I know about this. I don't know. This is interesting. Tips from the bartender saying useless boat. Oh yeah? Why? I'm just curious. Tyson did give me a really nice kettle. She got me the kettle I was actually looking at on Amazon. It's the one that's recommended. But we can talk about that. Oh, actually, we're almost getting. No, we got time. Actually, we got another 13 minutes. Typhoon is pretty useless as a nuclear deterrent. Really? Okay. Who knew? All right. Well, so the experts are weighing in saying that they are not totally impressed by this sub. And then Tips for the bartender weighs in and goes, Moskva is now also a submarine. Remember their big boat that the Ukrainians sank? That's funny. Yeah, indeed. Oh, that's right. I do the recap at the very end, Jingle. I do it right at the end, right before we right when we're at the end of the questions. Although now my AC is getting cold, so I'm moving it up. So drink whoever it is that drinks when I adjust my AC. There we go, my air conditioning. We know NATO ships would spot the sub. That's not really the issue. The question is, whether the sub would be allowed into the Black Sea. I mean, they're not supposed to let them in. Melissa says, loud and easy to track, the Typhoon class subs. Interesting. Oh, that is interesting actually too. Huh. Oh, wow, John, that's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that. John Hoover, who's in Ukraine, is saying a member of their team died suddenly yesterday. Oh, God, horrible. I'm sorry. Oh, Elise. Oh, thank you. I've been dying for that thing. I just found that a few weeks ago. Hold on. All right. Sorry. Save that. We'll save that for the 15-minute after thing. Save it for then. I don't want to get into it now and scare everybody away while we're talking about pasticcio, Greek food making. Sasha's doing well. If you heard, that was Sasha shaking in the background. I don't know if anybody heard that. My Doug. Why are we getting bad guys on TikTok? I mean on YouTube today? Have the trolls shown in? All right, let me look here for more questions here on TikTok. Hold on, guys. I'm going to go to the Q&A first, and then I'll go to your questions here. Don't know about that one. Okay, boy, multiple people asking about New York's nuclear preparation video. That's interesting. All right. Well, that's an interesting question. This might have been from yesterday, but it's an interesting question. Why doesn't Ukraine do Sherman's scorched earth? He's talking about the Civil War. Sherman's scorched earth tactic in Russian-occupied Ukrainian territory. I mean, part of the problem is that the occupied territory is Ukraine. It's Ukrainian, right? So, thank you, Rascal. It's not like the Ukrainians are invading Russia, and therefore they don't care what they destroy other than civilian targets. Well, okay, two things. One, the Russians are happy to kill civilians, and the Russians do, in fact, target civilians as part of their war planning. The rest of us kill civilians by mistake, or when we're being bad, we kill civilians because we don't care. The Russians will go after civilians on purpose because they want to break the back of the government and make the government basically say no more, so they'll just kill as many civilians as possible. Therefore, Ukrainians are not willing to do that. The Ukrainians aren't willing to kill civilians, even Russian civilians, and they're certainly not going to do it against their own citizens. So when the Ukrainians are trying to go back into Kherson, which is Ukraine occupied by the Russians, they don't want to go scorched earth necessarily. Thank you for the firework, Addie. They certainly don't want to kill civilians because it's their civilians especially. They also don't want to destroy everything because then the infrastructure is destroyed, you name it. But let's see. I mean, I will say this. The Ukrainians have repeatedly, thank you, Kanausi, have repeatedly told the citizens of the Kherson Oblast, the Kherson region, to get out. And as of about 2 or 3 days ago, they've been warning them, get out of there because we're coming with a big offensive. That big offensive may do just that. It may be some kind of a scorched earth offensive, because also the thing to remember is, there shouldn't be any Russian civilians in Kherson anyway. It should all be military people. So, let's see. Let me see here. Oh, Nathan is there. I see somebody saying Nathan doing the can. Maybe he's not there. Oh, John Hoover's weighing in again from Ukraine. The final body count of the Kremenchuk Mall, remember the shopping mall that was attacked, is 33 dead, 1 missing, and 65 injured. And 40 of the injured are serious to critical. That's bad. So it may mean that the deaths are not done. Yeah, I saw that too. Eric is mentioning that the Donetsk Oblast, which is again this region. Oops, let me show this region right here, and this is the region that the Russians are trying to grab now. They've already grabbed this region, right, Luhansk, and now they control 50% of Donetsk, and they're trying to get the other 50%. So, we'll see. Sorry, I'm just trying to look here to see if there was anything else that I missed from you guys posing questions here. Nope. Okay, I will look for more here. Oh, that's a good question. I can ask Vlad. Somebody asked, is there any update from your friend and the food delivery service they're providing? I can ask him for what's going on with that, if there's any updates. This is the group that we most recently raised money to buy them gasoline, to buy them petrol, so they could continue doing the food deliveries all across Kherson. It's called Kharkiv Mir, Peace for Kharkiv. This is what I look like without my glasses. Bobby, watch it though. All right, that's the last thing. Although I can't read the questions on my phone when I do that though. But I can ask Vlad if he's got any updates from them. And like we said, yes, I'm going to do the hearings, and then I'm up to date. I think I'm up to date. Let me see if any of you guys added any more questions. Otherwise, I'm up to date on the Q&A that's in my profile. Yeah, okay, up to date on those. So let me see what else we got here. Well, I mean, Sugar Skull, Russia has said repeatedly that their goal is still to take over all of Ukraine. Oops, sorry, my nose is itching. That's their goal. So, and Putin reiterated it again just the other day. And then I think a top official did too. So, they're still saying that. So, thanks, Gordon, for the fireworks. Yeah. Well, I had better news early on. We started with good news. Actually, let me do the recap then, since it's 10 after anyway. I'll do the recap now. Let me do that first, because there was good news in the recap. Bad news and good news, but good news. I started by telling you guys about Iran. There's a day of civil disobedience planned tomorrow over the fact that the government is clamping down on women refusing to wear the hijab, which is the sort of Muslim headdress, or whatever you want to call it, scarf and headgear. And the government is requiring women to wear it. A lot of women aren't, and the government's clamping down. So the women are having a day of civil disobedience tomorrow, which the hijab, which is not headscarf. Okay, if you want to call it, which is not done in Iran. In Iran, one does not do civil disobedience and live to tell of it. So that's going to be very interesting. Russia cut off gas to Germany via the Nord Stream 1 pipeline, claiming it's just a routine 10-day maintenance. Sure. 8 foreign ships have entered Ukrainian ports to export grain. And this is happening because the Ukrainians took over Snake Island. And the fact that they took over Snake Island meant that they were able to control the waterways just enough to get the ships, and they're going out via a canal through Romania. No French fries for you. Thank you, Kadausi. The Russian version of McDonald's, that McDonald's, when it left the country for good, it sold its franchises to a local, I guess maybe the local guy that was already working with a number of the franchises. And he had promised the food was not going to change. It was going to stay, all the same food. Well, they've now run out of French fries. They're not going to have French fries for the foreseeable future, in part because of problems growing potatoes last year, I guess, and in part because of the sanctions. The sanctions actually are having an impact, so kind of cool. Ukrainians hit the most important command center in the region of Kherson, killing 12 people. But mind you, this is the most important command center of the region, which means the 12 people killed were probably pretty important. This is very likely a precursor to this invasion they're talking about. So we'll see. The Russian military bloggers have been talking about the ammunition dumps. It's hard to summarize this one. Basically, talking about the issue of the fact that the Ukrainians have been doing a great job blowing up Russian ammunition storage in occupied Ukraine. Oops, hold on. 3. Sephora has left Russia for good. The death toll from a Russian attack in the town of Chasiv Yar in Donetsk Oblast, again, the region over in the east that the Russians are trying to conquer. They hit a 5-story residential building. 30 people are now dead. They're still trying to dig up survivors. In Kharkiv, they're also bombing significantly over there. The Russians would love to get their hands on Kharkiv. They've not been successful. That's Ukraine's second largest city, 1.5 million people. 3 people were killed and at least 31 injured, including a 4-year-old and a 16-year-old, in a number of strikes against that region last night. The Russians are using massive numbers of surface-to-air missiles for ground attacks in Mykolaiv and Kherson, kind of southwest a little bit, occupied territories. And I talked about the analysis that suggests the Russians are having problems with their surface-to-surface missiles because you don't use surface-to-air missiles to hit surface targets. So that was a very interesting observation that they're doing that. Starting Monday, goods including concrete, wood, alcohol, and alcohol-based industrial chemicals will no longer be permitted to travel through Lithuania by land from Kaliningrad to mainland Russia. And, oh no, we got several more here. Russia plans to force Mariupol residents into their army by autumn. The Prime Minister of Holland, Rutte, visited, or the Netherlands, I guess. It's funny. Someone told me the other day, I guess it is true. We grew up calling it Holland. So we say the Netherlands, but at least for my generation, we're more used to calling it Holland. We call it the Dutch, but we're used to calling it Holland. Netherlands isn't like my go-to word. It's funny in English. I mean, I know in French, Pays-Bas, or even in Spanish, I guess the same thing. But in English, it's not my go-to word. It's funny. Anyway, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte is visiting Ukraine today. The White House says that Iran may have already provided hundreds of drones to Russia and that it has agreed already to provide the drones and provide training. And that's kind of about it. It's kind of about it, which actually is good timing because it gets me to 7:15. Woo! Woo! And I will hang for a few minutes, but we're out of the news. We're out of the news now. Turn my light down a little. And now we're just going to hang a little bit, talk for a few minutes for fun, and then I'm going to go. So we'll, as I said, tomorrow, I think I will not do the live for the hearings, but I may jump on at the end of the hearings and talk for a little bit because my voice is doing well tonight, but I can tell it's still grabbing a little. So hopefully not too much. My hobbies, I don't think I have hobbies anymore. When I'm not busy working, I love to garden. Thank you, Louis. I love to garden. Love photography. Love cooking. So there you go. Those are the big 3. The Greek dish I was talking about earlier is pasticcio. I have Mom's wonderful recipe on that, which I should share at some point. It is not a difficult dish to make, but it is a messy dish to make. You go through many pots and pans. You've got to boil the pasta. Then you've got to heat milk with flour and add cheese and eggs to it when it cools down, right? Then you've got, well, the cheese and eggs are now mixed in a different pan before they go into the milk mister, which is its own pan. Then you're making the ground beef with a tomato sauce. That's another pan. It's just a freaking mess of a meal. And it's complicated. It's easy, but it's complicated because there's just too many steps. But it's probably my favorite Greek food is pasticcio. But oh my God, I'm already forgetting who it was. I don't even remember who it was who said they ordered it. I'm sorry, who was it again? I told you guys, once I move on from like a topic when I'm working, it goes out of my head. Like it's almost like I clean the short-term memory banks and move on. You know, it's like a lasagna, but it's not a lasagna. It's not lasagna. It uses, I believe, bucatini pasta is what you would call it. Well, you'd think it was Italian. Clearly, they got the word from the Italians because pasticcio isn't a pasticcio is like a quilombo in Argentina. It's a mess. It's just a mess is a pasticcio. And I think the Greeks got it because you could argue it's a mess. It's these bucatini, which are these really nice long pastas. It is bucatini that have the hole down the middle, right? And you cook it up. You mix that with a ground beef, tomato, very thick tomato. So it's not like a spaghetti sauce. It's a very thick tomato, onions, maybe a little spice. We don't put too much spice in it. Usually we don't. I don't think, I've got to look at the recipe. I don't think we put too much spice in it. And then simply on top of that, the pasta. You mix the pasta with a wash of eggs and Parmesan cheese mixed with some it was Elise. Oh, it was Elise. Okay, there you go. I was thinking Elise, and then I thought I'm pissing somebody else off by saying Elise. You mix the pasta with a whipped egg and cheese, typically like a Parmesan and a Romano or Greek version of Romano, which is much better, mizitra. And then you mix the meat in there. You then pour on top of it a bechamel sauce, which is basically a milk, although you could use cream if you want to go crazy, but a heated milk thickened with flour. And you then add a mixture of eggs and cheese to that. And it cooks, you pour it on top, and that cooks into a nice, thick, it can be a little soft and gooey, but you kind of want it cooked. It's just wonderful. So it is not lasagna. It's a pasta dish that you then cut squares and serve it on a plate. When done well, I think like a lot of dishes, when done well, it's to die for. When not done well, it's okay. It's like an okay pasta when not done well. Moussaka, yeah, exactly. Moussaka, I adore. No, I'll have to see if I can like easily tape some, maybe not even taping. You know what? The problem is I can't do a live because like you make these things and then you let them cool 20 minutes or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not really easy. The moussaka, you're putting it in the oven 20 minutes. Like there's too many steps that draw out. Greek food is not something you do in an hour. I've always said Greek food was made to oppress women. You just can't do it without taking hours to cook. I love it, but it takes hours. So Elise, God bless her, got me. It drives me nuts because all the recipes are typically for 9x13 pans. But the 9x13 pans, I have no idea why, are, thank you, Nikki, they're about this tall, like maybe a little more, maybe 2 inches, maybe a little more than 2 inches. And it drives me nuts because even if I'm making Greek food or if I'm making Italian food, let's say you're making, again, a lasagna, what's it called? Ziti, baked ziti or anything. It's invariably a little too big for the pan. And you're up at the edge and you're pouring the sauce on and you're afraid it's going to pour out, right? It's a mess. I have always said, why don't they make 9x13 pans that are deeper, like 3 inches, right? Well, finally, I went online actually last year, couldn't find them. This year, I Googled differently, and I don't know how. I found it. And I found one that was highly rated, so I put it on my wish list, and Elise is getting it, she told me. And I'm very excited because I just have never had a good deep pan. Because, and frankly, even if it doesn't reach the top, why wouldn't you want a deeper pan anyway? But 9x13s, anybody who cooks knows what I'm talking about. 9x13 pans, if you're making a dish like that, good luck. I don't know what it is. I want to say, is this ceramic maybe? I think it's ceramic. I'm not sure. I think so. I don't recall now. You know, or ceramic covered iron or something. I'd have to look and see. I don't recall. But I read up on it. It's like highly well reviewed, and it's a great pan. And also, it was the tall. I think it's 3 1/4 or 3 1/2. I mean, it's crazy inches. It's fabulous. Not Pyrex. No. It's fabulously tall, this thing. Yeah. So, because also when I'm making it too, like, you know, I like to make a little extra sauce because I like the bechamel. So that's going to go a little higher. You know, you have all these kind of issues that can happen, and all of a sudden then it's boiling. You know, but anyway, you guys, I know I'm getting hungry now talking about this. I'm like, my moussaka, my pasticcio. Yep, there you go. That's what yep. Reuters, that's Reuters backing up the story I was talking about. Yep. Well, Pyrex is bad because Pyrex can explode too. I know you're all coming for dinner. Exactly. Exactly. Hold on. Let me look and see. Since we're all asking, I know we could see what hang on. Where is this? Amazon. Actually, you can see it on TikTok. It's easy because if you go to my profile and click on the link that's in my profile that says beacons, one of the things it links to is my Amazon wish list, and it's in my Amazon wish list. So that's how easy way for you TikTokers at least to find it. Let me tell you, I think it's there until I receive it. Oh no, it's gone because you bought it already. Interesting. Okay, it often doesn't. It often hides it from me until it arrives. Sometimes the wish list, so I don't know. That's interesting. Okay, so it did. Okay, then let me look and see if I saved it in my Amazon. It's not going to be there, folks. Sorry. We're talking about a wonderful baking pan that I've got because we're at the part of the show where we're done talking the politics. Let's see if I did save it. Here we go. I did save it. Okay. It's ceramic. It is the Mora, M-O-R-A, ceramics hit pause. They're calling it hit pause. I don't know why, but Mora, M-O-R, M-O-R, M as in Mary, O-R-A, ceramics hit pause. And it's time to hit pause and eat. What a ridiculous name. That's a bit silly. Hold on, let's see what's 20% stronger Paladin clay. So they've got Paladin clay, which is 20% stronger than the others, but it is clay, so you don't want to drop this thing. Optimal heat retention to keep your food hotter longer, although that's kind of funny too, because this is a dish that you want to cool, but nonetheless. Thermal shock. Let me see here. So the depth, this is fabulous. I mean, look at the size of this. Look at the depth on this thing. It's 3 1/2 inches, I think. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, it's 3 1/2 inches tall, which makes me very, very happy. So 9x13, it's actually a little more than 9x13. So it's 10x14. So it's a little more, which actually isn't such a bad thing. Actually, to have a 9x13 that goes just a touch larger isn't a bad thing either. You know, a kickback. I'm not getting a kickback. I'm just getting a pan. But anyway, yeah. So there you go. Yeah, I'm a little nervous about it being ceramic, but I just have to be careful with it. But oh yeah, no, I'm totally thrilled. It's the deepest pan. It's the deepest pan I found online. And again, it has good reviews and stuff. So I know I should be getting a kickback on it. Oh, well. Well, again, I could never find anything that deep. It's crazy. You know, it's just crazy. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. So the dish we were talking about earlier is pasticcio. Let me, hold on. I will, on TikTok at least, I can very easily just write the comment with the name. Pasticcio. This is like the correct way to spell it. What I don't know is it is also possible that it's spelled pasticcio, like with a CH. So it could be like pasti, P-A-S-T-I. CHIO is the other possibility, or we would typically spell it PASTITS. So so it's pasti, PASTITSIO. See, it's complicated. Yeah, pasticcio. So there you go. It's a wonderful dish, but there's a lot of different recipes for it. So yeah, exactly, Paula. I'm used to it being pastizio, so to speak, with a TS. But there's lots of different recipes for it. So it kind of depends. It's one of those dishes where it's going to be very different in each recipe. I guess lasagna isn't totally different in that way to some degree, right? But it's a very different recipe depending whose recipe you use. An old glass one your parents brought over from Germany? Oh, that's neat. Better be careful with that one. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, no, it just hit me. I never had gotten, though, a deep enough pan. It's crazy. I know. You can get me a gig cooking on the front line near Odessa. The thing is, if it were safe, I would love to go over there and cook and like make Greek food and make all sorts of stuff. If I knew it were safe. The problem is I worry it wouldn't be safe, that I'd get bombed by the Russians. I have no tolerance for getting bombed by the Russians. Otherwise, it would be a lot of fun. I think it would be a lot of fun cooking, but bring my recipes and just make different food. Then again, they're not Greeks, so you never know. They might not like Greek food, although I'm guessing Greek food they'd like. Actually, even more fun, I'd try to make American foods, But that's funny, though. Yeah, no, if I knew it were safe, I'd do it. I wouldn't say I'd do it. There's a chance I'd do it if I knew it were safe. I'm too old. If I were in my 20s, I'd be like, send me there. Safer than Chicago on Saturday? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, DC is very, very similar, actually. Anyway. Oh, I did the questions earlier. We're just kind of hanging out for a few minutes right now. No, I think they would like Greek food. It's not similar to their food, but generally speaking, it's meat and pasta, potatoes. It's the kind of thing. It's the kind of food we all like, unless you're vegetarian, right? So that would be fun, though. Sasha is somewhere around here. Well, she got up earlier. Let me look, but I think again she went back to my room. She's got a good. Oh, she did. She did. She cracks me up. Sasha was on my couch earlier, and some of you might have heard her about 20 minutes ago where she got up and walked away. It's because she was moving from my couch to under my bed. And she goes under my bed. I swear this to you. She goes under my bed because she knows this is the time of night where I pick her up, and she hates being picked up. So sorry, but she's under my bed hiding at the moment. But it cracked me up because I was wondering 20 minutes ago why she moved. I'm like, what are you doing moving? But she was on the couch. Oh, no, she's good. She's such a smart dog. It's really, I forgot what she did the other day. She did something the other day. I can't remember what it was. Thank you, me, for the fireworks. Me, Mel. I'll call you Mel. Really? Catclaw, your dad got hit by rocket fragments? Oh, my God. Oh, that's awful. I'm so sorry. Jeez. Wow. But yeah, I just can't remember what Sasha did the other day. It was something. Hold on, I'm going to tell my friend, because I was telling my friend Damien, she figured something out. Hold on, I'll look really quick because it cracked me up. Damien is coming by tomorrow as well, so he'll be with me when we check in. Oh, yeah, the thing that cracked me up this is what cracked me up. So I do the laundry the other night and finish I'm going to actually want to save this so I can lighten it up a little for you guys. I do the laundry the other night and oops, was doing like a bunch of white t-shirts. So they get done. Oh, hold on, I'm trying to get to my photos here. They get finished, and where is this? Here we go. They're finished. Oops. Oops. I'm gonna lighten this up for you. There, now you can see it. The t-shirts are finished. I bring in a pile of them, put them on my bed, and now the t-shirts are basically very warm on my bed. 7 o'clock at night, I step away for 1 minute. Now, my dog does not go on my bed until bedtime. She just doesn't. She's not into it. In the morning, she'll sleep on my bed for a little bit and then change beds. At night, she comes in and joins me at crazy hours of the night. She has to sleep in her bed first, very picky, and maybe midnight, maybe 1 a.m., she jumps into bed with me and then sits there and looks at me because she wants to wake me up so I can pet her really quick. It's crazy. Anyway, so she does not get into bed. I put the clothes on my bed at 7 o'clock. I walk into the kitchen to grab something. I think it was just to make sure there wasn't anything left in the dryer. I come back in, and this is what I've got on my bed. And this is 1 minute after leaving them. She figured out, she figured out that I had done laundry and got in and made a bed in the middle of the warm clothes. The thing is, I don't know how she did it. How she knew, because this isn't her time to jump on the bed. Like, she wouldn't go on the bed, but she saw me carry them, saw me dump it, and had enough experience doing it that she knew it was warm, because she knew, oh, this is when he gets those things that makes a really nice bed. But it blew my mind. I came back and was like, and the best part too was, the best part is that she didn't even notice me because she was busy cleaning her face. She cleans her face like a cat. She licks her paw and then rubs her nose, licks her paw and rubs her nose. So she was busy cleaning her nose, didn't even look up at me, couldn't have cared less. So I ended up leaving it, and I didn't fold my clothes until later, because I was like, I felt bad at that point. I was like, you know what? You deserve this. Oh, and I'm sure it smells like me. It's warm. What's not to like, But it just cracked me up that, boom, she spotted it and jumped up there. I am not. No, I have no connection to Ukraine. Nope. I have friends there now, but no connection. I just care. I'm not a fan of the Russians. I wasn't a fan of the Soviets. That's my connection. So, oh, that's funny. Well, she is part Bichon. I keep thinking it's her Yorkie side, because the Yorkie side is I think the smart side, but maybe it is the Bichon. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Oh, that's not good. All right. June 10th. The Ukrainian anti-submarine. I don't know what a corvette is, or I don't know what a corvette is in this case. Sunk in the port as a result of a missile strike. Well, that's too bad. Oh well. Oh well. Oh, there's movement. Hello, you. Hello. What you doing? What you doing? I'm getting you food. Don't give me that look. I'm getting you a piece of food. All right? 2 pieces of food, even better. Food. Yes. Come here. Yeah, there you go. She's so bad. In this case, I'll lift this up a little. Oops, sorry. This cracks me up because she saw me coming and she started backing away because she knows I pick her up. Oops. I pick her up and show her to you guys. But as soon as I say I have food, she stands there and gets into a position which allows me to pick her up. So she was totally fine with me picking her up when I said I had food, which again is the smart. So I don't fight. Say hi for a minute. All right, there you go. All right. Okay, go down. All right. Oh, but again, they're just so smart. It really cracks me up. Just cracks me up. All right, guys. Corvette is a medium-sized warship. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's not good. Oh, I'm sorry. You want to go out? All right. 1 second. Go ahead. All right. Anyway, all right, guys. She's 12 and a half. Yeah, she's 12 and a half. So knock on wood, she's hanging in there. Rascal says hi. I would love to go to Ukraine. I definitely, certainly after the war, I'll go. you know? I mean, who knows? Maybe if I feel safe, maybe I'll go before. Who knows? But I would love to go to Ukraine. Are you kidding? For sure. Certainly once everything's over, sure, of course. But I'd love to go before. I mean, now that I actually know some people, you know, it'd be wonderful. You know, I'd like to. I mean, obviously, I'll go to Kyiv, and my friends from Kharkiv, Vlad's from Kharkiv, so after the war, he'll be back there, which would be nice. But I'd love to kind of, you know, Odessa, of course, because we all know about Odessa. You know. See you, Marcy. All right, guys, I'm going to actually go. It's 7:35. I'm trying to protect my voice here. So, collection. Not sure what you mean, inspired woman. But I'm going to, you know what, guys, let me go. Let's talk tomorrow. I'm going to do, as I said, I'm going to do the, I'm not going to do the live, but I'll maybe come on at the end of the hearings and we can at least talk. You just arrived. Sorry. Sorry. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. And as I said, I'll set up tomorrow night, 6 p.m., of course, but I'll do an impromptu thing after the hearings. Oops, Sasha. Sorry, Sasha wants to come back in, of course. There you go. So if you're watching the hearings, hang out. I can, if my voice is behaving, I'll do a quick live on everything, but let's see. All right, hang up on you guys and then do those guys. I know I do have to do a garden. I will do a garden tour at some point as well, although that's going to be easiest on TikTok. Oh, thank you, Call Name. I appreciate that. That was sweet of you on the way out. Yeah, I would do hearings. The hearings should, let me do one last look to see when the hearings are. The hearings should be 10 a.m. Eastern Time, US. January 6th, hang on. I'm just going to go to the actual committee because they give you the real time. All right, January 12th. Let's see what they say. January 12th, 10 a.m. Yeah, it's 10 a.m. on January 12th. So there you go. Actually, really quick. Where is this? 1 second here. For you guys, I can't share it with you guys. It's too hard. But that's one link you can watch. That's the YouTube link for the committee directly on YouTube for the hearing. So yeah, I'll be watching, but as I said, probably offline. So, all right, guys, I'll see you all tomorrow. All right, bye. Sorry, hang up on you guys now. Burp.